Have you ever had one of those days where your stomach just feels off? Maybe a sudden cramp, or that uneasy feeling like something isn't quite right inside. You might brush it off, thinking it's something you ate, or maybe just your body acting up again. But what if it's more than that? What if it's your body trying to tell you something important, something that shouldn't be ignored? As we get older, it's easy to chalk everything up to age. A little tired? Well, that's just getting old. Feeling sore? Must be the weather. And when our stomach starts acting up, especially with things like diarrhea or discomfort, we often don't give it a second thought. But here's the truth, our bodies become more vulnerable as we age, and small problems can turn into big ones faster than we expect. One of those sneaky problems is dysentery. Now, that might sound like an old-fashioned word, something out of a history book. But dysentery isn't just a thing of the past, it's very real, and it can be very serious, especially for older adults. It's more than just a bad case of the runs. It's an infection of the intestines that can lead to severe dehydration, weakness, and even hospitalization if not treated quickly. And the tricky part? The early signs often look like everyday stomach troubles. That's why today, we're having an important heart-to-heart about the warning signs of dysentery in the elderly. Because knowing what to watch for could be the difference between a quick recovery and a dangerous situation. This isn't about scaring you, it's about empowering you. When you understand what your body's trying to say, you can take action with confidence. So, let's talk about what those early red flags look like, and how you can spot them before they get out of hand. It often begins with diarrhea, but not the kind that passes after a day of eating something greasy. I'm talking about frequent, watery stools that seem to come out of nowhere. You might notice yourself rushing to the bathroom more often, sometimes with very little warning. And it doesn't stop there. There's a particular discomfort that comes with it, a feeling like your stomach is twisting, almost like a knot tightening and releasing in waves. And here's something you should never ignore: if you see blood or mucus in your stool. I know, it's not the kind of thing we like to talk about. But it matters. If you glance down and notice anything unusual, dark red streaks, pinkish tint, or even something slimy, that's a signal your body's dealing with more than just a stomach bug. It could mean your intestines are inflamed or infected, and that's something you need to speak to a doctor about right away. Now, let me ask you, how do you usually feel after a bathroom trip when you're sick? Maybe a little drained, right? That's normal. But dysentery hits differently. It can leave you feeling completely zapped of energy, like your limbs are heavy and your body's given up. If you find yourself needing to lie down after every trip to the bathroom, or if standing up suddenly makes you dizzy or lightheaded, those are signs of dehydration setting in. And for us older folks, that can become dangerous fast. Our bodies don't bounce back like they used to. What used to be a day of rest and some soup might now need more care, more attention. Dehydration can sneak up on you. You might think you're drinking enough water, but when your body's losing fluids so rapidly, it's hard to keep up. And if you have other conditions like diabetes or kidney issues, dehydration can strain those organs even more. Another thing many people don't expect with dysentery is the fever. We usually think of stomach issues as cold and clammy, but a high temperature, especially over 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, can absolutely show up. It's your body's way of fighting off the infection. But in seniors, a fever can be a lot more than just an inconvenience. It can lead to confusion, shakiness, and even falls. Have you ever felt foggy when you were sick? Like your brain wasn't working at full speed? That fog can be a warning sign too. If you, or someone you love, starts acting differently during a stomach issue, maybe getting forgetful, irritable, or disoriented, it's not just the illness, it could be the fever or dehydration affecting the brain. Now, I want to say this gently but clearly, we have to take these symptoms seriously. You might be the kind of person who doesn't want to make a fuss. You don't want to bother your kids, or call the doctor over a little tummy trouble. But when it comes to your health, there is no such thing as being a bother. You matter, and your health deserves attention. Let's not wait until the situation becomes an emergency. If you feel like something's off, trust that instinct. Our bodies are wise. They've carried us through decades of life. They know how to send signals, we just have to listen. And that's why staying aware of changes in your body is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's not about becoming a hypochondriac or worrying over every ache. It's about being in tune with yourself. If your usual 2 bathroom trips a day suddenly turn into 10, or if you feel unusually drained, dizzy, or confused, that's your cue to pause and ask, could this be something more? Sometimes, especially as we get older, it's easy to brush off signs. We tell ourselves, it'll pass. We put on a brave face and keep going. But bravery isn't ignoring the signs. Bravery is taking action when you need to. It's saying, I'm worth the care. I'm worth the attention. And if you're someone who's a caregiver, a spouse, a sibling, or a friend, this is just as important for you to know. Maybe your loved one isn't saying much. Maybe they don't want to worry you. But you know them. You can see when something's not right. Gentle questions, soft reminders, and being present can make a world of difference. Dysentery might not be something we talk about over the dinner table, but it's real, and it can hit hard if we ignore the early signs. Knowing what to look for, and when to act, gives us the upper hand. It gives us control. And really, that's what we all want as we age, to stay in control of our lives, our choices, our well-being. So let's keep paying attention. Let's stay curious about how we feel and never be afraid to ask for help or speak up when something's wrong. And speaking of paying attention, let's take a moment to talk about something many people overlook when they're feeling unwell: appetite. It might seem small, but changes in your appetite can tell you a lot about what's going on inside your body. If you suddenly have no desire to eat, or even the smell of food makes you queasy, it might not just be a passing nausea. When the digestive system is inflamed or infected, like in the case of dysentery, your body often shuts down your hunger response as a way of protecting itself. But here's the thing, even though you don't feel hungry, your body needs nutrients to heal, to keep your strength up, and to fight off the infection. So a lack of appetite, especially when paired with other symptoms like diarrhea, fever, and fatigue, can be another quiet warning sign. It's not just about feeling hungry, either. Sometimes it's the taste of food that changes. You might notice everything tastes bland or even metallic. Or maybe your favorite meals suddenly feel too heavy or unappealing. These subtle shifts in taste and eating habits can be your body's early way of saying, hey, something's not right. Another thing that often gets pushed aside, especially among older adults, is abdominal pain. And not just the cramping we talked about earlier. I mean persistent discomfort. A deep ache in your lower belly. Maybe it comes and goes, maybe it lingers. You might think it's just gas, or maybe constipation, but with dysentery, the pain tends to have a sharpness to it. A kind of urgency. It's not unusual to feel bloated either, like there's pressure building up inside you. And while gas and bloating aren't uncommon in our everyday lives, when paired with loose stools, fatigue, and a general sense of offness, it paints a very different picture. And here's something many people don't expect: urgency without result. You may feel like you have to rush to the bathroom, but then only a little comes out, or sometimes nothing at all. This is actually a hallmark sign of irritation in the intestines. Your body's trying to push something out, but the infection or inflammation is disrupting the normal rhythm. It's uncomfortable, and frankly, frustrating. But again, it's a sign worth paying attention to. Now let's talk about hydration for a moment, because this is so important. Dehydration can sneak up quickly, especially when you're dealing with constant trips to the bathroom. And for those of us past 60, our sense of thirst naturally decreases. That means even if your body is low on fluids, you might not feel thirsty. You may not even realize you're dehydrated until it becomes serious. Look out for signs like dry mouth, sticky saliva, or cracked lips. You might notice your skin feels drier than usual, or that your urine is darker, more amber than clear. You could also feel dizzy when you stand up, or notice your heart is beating faster than usual. These aren't just nuisances, they're warning lights on your body's dashboard. And when your body doesn't have enough water, everything slows down. Your muscles ache. Your energy fades. Your mind gets foggy. That's why it's absolutely essential to keep sipping fluids, especially water and oral rehydration solutions if you can get them. They help replenish the vital salts and minerals your body loses when you're ill. Here's another thing that deserves attention: emotional changes. Yes, really. When your body is under stress, fighting off an infection like dysentery, it's not just your stomach that takes a hit. Your mood, your clarity of thought, and even your motivation can be affected. You might feel suddenly down or anxious. You might snap at people for no reason, or feel like you just want to lie in bed and not talk to anyone. These emotional shifts are often brushed off or blamed on age or just a bad day. But in reality, they could be your nervous system reacting to the physical strain your body is under. And for those of us who live alone, this can be especially difficult. It's easy to hide how we feel. Maybe you don't want to admit that you're struggling, or you tell yourself you just need a few more hours of rest. But isolation can make it harder to notice when things are getting worse. That's why checking in with a neighbor, friend, or even a phone call to a loved one can make a world of difference. It's not weakness to reach out, it's wisdom. Now, one more thing I want to touch on that doesn't get talked about enough: how fast things can change when you're over 60. You can feel fine in the morning, and by evening, be completely drained. The body's reserves aren't what they used to be, and that's not a failure. It's just part of the journey. But because of that, we have to act sooner, not later. You may be wondering, how do I even know if it's dysentery or just a stomach bug? And that's a fair question. The truth is, you don't need to figure it out alone. That's what doctors and nurses are for. What matters most is recognizing when something is not normal for you. If your symptoms last more than a day or two, if you feel weaker than usual, or if something just feels off, it's time to get checked. Not in a week. Not when it's more convenient. But now. Your life, your health, your comfort, they're worth acting on. It's easy to put others first, especially if you're used to being the caretaker. But this time, it's about you. You've earned the right to be cared for, too. And let's not forget how resilient the body can be when we give it what it needs. Rest, fluids, proper food, and timely medical help. With the right care, many people bounce back from dysentery just fine. But the key is catching it early. Trusting yourself. Listening closely. And not waiting for things to get worse. There's nothing just normal about a body that's in distress. Even if you've lived through aches and illnesses before, that doesn't mean you should have to suffer through them now. Life is too precious, and so are you. Now, we've talked about what dysentery looks and feels like when it's beginning to take hold, those early signs that are easy to brush off but shouldn't be ignored. But there's something else just as important that we need to talk about: how quickly complications can arise if those signs are missed. When you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, your body doesn't respond the way it used to. What might have once been a simple case of food poisoning can now spiral into something that affects your heart, your kidneys, and your overall strength. And for anyone who already has chronic conditions, like high blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney problems, the risks can multiply. One of the biggest concerns with dysentery, especially in older adults, is how fast it can lead to severe dehydration. And dehydration isn't just about feeling thirsty or tired. It can put a strain on your entire body. Your blood pressure can drop, your heart may beat irregularly, and your kidneys, those hard-working filters, can start to shut down if they don't get enough fluid to function. You might notice swelling in your ankles, or the opposite, sudden weight loss. Your skin may lose its elasticity. Your eyes could appear sunken. These changes are not normal signs of aging, they're your body waving a red flag. But it's not just physical effects. We talked earlier about that mental fog. As dehydration worsens, that confusion can become dangerous. You might forget where you put things, or even feel like you're dreaming while awake. This state, called delirium, can be frightening for you and for your loved ones. And sadly, it often goes undiagnosed in older adults until the situation is serious. Another problem? Falls. If you're getting up and down constantly to go to the bathroom, or you feel dizzy and weak from losing fluids, the risk of a fall increases dramatically. And we all know how much damage a single fall can do at our age. A fractured hip, a broken wrist, these things take a long time to heal and can steal away independence for months. But here's the good news, these outcomes are preventable. You don't need to live in fear. What you do need is to take action early and to have a plan in place for when symptoms appear. That starts with something as simple as tracking your bathroom habits. If you notice more trips to the toilet than usual, or if your stool looks watery, bloody, or mucus-filled, take note. Don't wait to see if it clears up in a week. Trust that inner voice that says, "This isn't normal." Have a thermometer nearby and use it. If you feel warm or chilled, check for a fever. And keep an eye on your fluid intake. If you're not peeing every few hours, or your urine is dark and strong smelling, that's a sign to drink more water, or better yet, a rehydration drink with electrolytes. Stock a few of those drinks at home, the kind with sodium and potassium. They're not just for athletes, they're for anyone who's losing fluids quickly. They can help your body recover faster and reduce the risk of complications. And please, don't wait until you really need it to reach out to your doctor. Whether it's your primary care physician, a walk-in clinic, or even a telehealth service, reach out as soon as something feels off. A quick test and early treatment can stop the illness in its tracks. Sometimes you might need antibiotics. Other times, it's just supportive care, fluids, rest, and monitoring. But the key is catching it before it goes too far. Now I know for some people, especially those who are more independent or living alone, asking for help isn't easy. You might not want to burden your children or friends. But let me say this loud and clear, asking for help is not a burden. It's an act of self-care. It's courage. And it allows the people who love you to show that love. And if you're a caregiver, this is your reminder, too. Watch for those small signs: fatigue, confusion, odd bathroom patterns. Check in. Ask questions gently. You don't have to be a nurse to make a difference. Your presence, your attention, and your support mean everything. Now, before we wrap up, let's take a deep breath together. Because while all of this may sound a bit heavy, it's also incredibly empowering. You now know the signs. You know what to look for, what to do, and how to protect yourself or someone you love. That knowledge is powerful. You're not helpless. In fact, you're the first and best line of defense when it comes to your health. You've lived through decades of ups and downs, joys and hardships. Your body has carried you through it all, and it's still speaking to you. Still giving you signs. All you have to do is listen. So the next time you feel a little off, or something doesn't sit right in your belly, don't ignore it. Don't push through in silence. Tune in. Ask questions. Take action. And remember this, you deserve to feel well. You deserve comfort, clarity, and care every single day. Getting older doesn't mean settling for pain or confusion. It means living smarter, listening more closely, and taking pride in your own well-being. If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you've had an experience with dysentery, or maybe you've helped a loved one through it. Your story could help someone else feel less alone, or even save them from a serious situation. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel. We share real, down-to-earth advice for staying healthy, strong, and independent at every stage of life. Because growing older doesn't mean growing weaker, it means growing wiser. Here's to you, your strength, your wisdom, and your health. Take care of yourself. You matter more than you know. And as always, keep listening to your body, it's got a lot to say.